All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. Hope you guys are having a great weekend. Shout out Scotty Scheffler for that Masters green jacket. But let's talk some Pittsburgh Steelers. So, folks, we're less than 2 weeks away from the start of the NFL draft, and we're hearing rumors and we're hearing rumblings. Brandon Ayuk to the Pittsburgh Steelers. Brandon Ayuk getting traded. But nonetheless, folks, Pittsburgh needs help at the wide receiver position. George Pickens cannot do it all. Quez Watkins, Van Jefferson, even Cordell Patterson, and of course Calvin Austin. I like the potential. I like the high reward aspect, but I do think it's relatively risky. Folks, they need more. And I know you've got a nice first round pick. Pittsburgh's got a really sneaky deep draft capital. But let's get into some rumors that have been swirling through this past weekend. So, it's crazy, man. Like one day we'll hear Brandon Ayuk trade requests or like rumblings, rumors of that. Then the next day we'll hear, Pittsburgh's looking to acquire wide receiver. It's just, we're in that point of the offseason where there's a lot of smoke screens going on. So, folks, to me, like, to be quite honest with you, I don't think Brandon Ayuk is a San Francisco 49er at this time next season. He just unfollowed San Francisco 49ers official team on Instagram. That feels so goofy to say, but it is 2024. We heard from John Fraschella, not sure who that is, that Brandon Ayuk has officially requested a trade from the 49ers. And then Brandon Ayuk's agent comes out and says, you need better sources. But nonetheless, man, Pittsburgh does seem to be in the sweepstakes for some type of wide receiver acquisition, whether that's a Brandon Ayuk trade, a DJ Chark signing, which we'll talk about just in a second here. I highly doubt that Pittsburgh goes into this upcoming season with George Pickens, all their new recent additions, and then just like a rookie wide receiver selected in the third round. So before we get any further into tonight's video, if you guys enjoy it, be sure to hit that like button, hit that sub button for daily NFL content. Steelers fans, you guys are great as always, carrying my channel in the dead of the offseason. So if we could try and get this video to 500 likes, that would mean the absolute world to me. I do just want to throw this out there real quick. So we know Russell Wilson and Justin Fields are new members of the Pittsburgh Steelers. We know that they'll be going into a battle, a competition in training camp, and Mike Tomlin has already stated that Russell Wilson's going to be the guy. But folks, when you dig deeper into the logistics of it, it would not shock me in the slightest if Justin Fields was the starting quarterback for the Pittsburgh Steelers in week 1 of the regular season. And we heard this from somebody Darlington, some insider, somebody in the NFL world. Right now, there is no way Justin Fields goes into training camp and does not compete with Russell Wilson. And quite honestly, if you're putting odds on this, I've got Fields having better odds of winning the starter job after what we've seen from Russell Wilson the past 2 years than Russell Wilson. Now, I do just want to throw this quick tidbit in. Nathaniel Hackett and Russell Wilson and their first year as the Denver Broncos, like 2 years ago, in Russ's first year with Denver, it was a catastrophic nightmare. We saw a much more improved Russell Wilson this past season with Sean Payton as the head coach for the Denver Broncos. Folks, Russell Wilson threw for like 26 passing touchdowns. That's more than the Pittsburgh Steelers had in their last 2 years as an organization. I know Justin Fields makes a bunch of mistakes. I know Russell Wilson is aging, but the point still stands. This quarterback room, no shade to Kenny Pickett, no shade to Mason Rudolph. I am so glad that this is the quarterback competition going on in the training camp that's soon to be in a couple months from now than it would be with Kenny Pickett and Mason Rudolph. Once again, no disrespect to either of those two quarterbacks. They did what they could do, but it is what it is, man. I do like the higher upside and just, especially with Russ, the more consistency, the more efficiency, more effective. But I would not be surprised if Justin Fields was the starting quarterback. And once again, when you look into the logistics of Russ's contract, on a veteran's minimum, I really would know it just would not be an issue if Justin Fields was actually QB1. Nonetheless, let's get into it. So we're hearing Pittsburgh's hosted 6 wide receivers on pre-draft visits, all right? But the buzz around the Steelers trading for a receiver has died off a little bit. But according to one NFL insider, the team is still trying their hand at landing one via trade. So this is something we heard from NFL insider Jason LaCanfora on the In the Huddle podcast that we talked about a couple of days ago. For me, there's a piece of information that we don't have yet, which is why they trade for a wide receiver before the draft. It would not surprise me if that happened tomorrow, if they did it Wednesday before the draft, if they did it while they were on the clock, if they did it in the run up to the draft that Thursday. I know that they are trying to make something happen here. The Brandon Ayuk trade rumors are still heating up, not only with Pittsburgh, but just across the league. George Pickens is a rising star wide receiver in the National Football League, but he cannot do it all on his own, folks. And I get it. I like the high upside of guys like Calvin Austin coming off basically his rookie season. Quez Watkins was good before A.J. Brown came into Philadelphia. Van Jefferson had a good season when he was young into the NFL. But at the end of the day, you still got Pat Freiermuth. You still got Jalen Warren, obviously Najee Harris. I need more help. And I don't care if it's a DJ Chark and a rookie wide receiver. I don't care if it's Brandon Ayuk trade. By the way, while we're on the topic, Brandon Ayuk trade would probably be a first and third round draft pick. All right. Now, keep in mind, Pittsburgh's got a decent amount of draft capital. I know they need a new center. I know they need some help all across the offensive line depth board. But folks, I would not be opposed to trading, and I'm a Packers fan, so take it with a grain of salt. But if I was the Pittsburgh Steelers and I traded my first round pick for a top 10 wide receiver in the National Football League and Brandon Ayuk, I really don't think long term that would be negative. I really do not. I think you can draft your center in the second round. I think you can draft your center in the third round. They're fine on the offensive line. I get it. The trenches are the most important thing in the National Football League outside of the quarterback position, but they need more. Now, it is important to note Brandon Ayuk is in the last year of his rookie contract, so an extension would be somewhere around the lines of $24 to $30 million a year. I get it. That's a huge hassle, especially with George Pickens being so young. But folks, don't worry about the money. On paper, right now, Pittsburgh does not have enough offensive weapons to win a Super Bowl. That's my opinion. But unless George Pickens has like a 2,000-yard receiving season, they need more help on the offense. So we've talked about DJ Chark a number of times on this channel. I think they should sign DJ Chark because I think deep threat, that's exactly what he is good at. And I think that's exactly what Russell Wilson and DJ Chark could get going with Arthur Smith. I just like the idea of DJ Chark. Now, real quick, here's a quick comment on the GM of the San Francisco 49ers on Brandon Ayuk. I promise you, nothing's going on there. Lynch said of the trade rumors at the NFL owners meeting, we're actually trying to talk to Brandon to try and figure some things out. We know you have a good history of working with guys that we want to get something done, so we can do that. We'll see. There's a number of different directions that could go, but we appreciate the heck out of Brandon and what he is as a player. We want him to be a part of the Niners, so we know we're going to work towards making that a reality. I wouldn't listen to anything of what any GM is saying at this point in the NFL offseason right before the draft. So let me know your thoughts on a Brandon Ayuk trade. I know we've talked about this in a couple of videos in the last couple of months, but I would not count it out. Let me know what you're thinking. Have a great rest of your weekend. We'll